towards earlier on, less vulnerable to ganks.
Okay, and we see a couple more bans coming in, as well as the Orianna and Vayne. And I'm curious, what's your thoughts on, Orianna and Vayne in this coming patch that we had? Because obviously there's a lot of new things out there. We're not even going to try to pretend we know everything about the patch, because not even the teams know that necessarily. But with these two bans coming in, what's your thoughts on those?
Okay, well, Orianna fits in very much the same vein as Nidalee and Kassadin. Vayne, though, if anything, she's actually had her win rate drop a little bit recently. Having more aggressive supports with more gold earlier on tends to make it a little bit more difficult for her. Although, if they're able to pick out Taric with that, you win, basically, in the lane, because Taric at the moment is very, very strong, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him get picked up later on.
Yeah, the last ban coming in is Olaf, but it looks like we already have some picks coming in as well. And you're mentioning Taric as a support. We already do see Annie coming in for KMT, but Elise picked up, at least in the hands of Mimer for SHC.
Elise, again, very, very strong, but I have to guess this is going to be from Impaler. He loves his Elise. In the jungle Elise situation where you're just aggressively ganking really early on, he is just so good, and we've seen him pretty much carry Team Dignitas UK when he was with them quite often with that particular champion. That being said, the more wards around the place in general has a little bit attenuated the strength of that style of gameplay, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't make it work. And if anyone can, I think Impaler can.
And I'm actually really curious to see Mimer on this team too, because we obviously saw him with NIP back in the summer split. Didn't fare too well. He was forced to play a lot of champions he wasn't really known for, like a Zac, like Yorick, and he really liked playing assassins in that top lane. So I'm curious to see what they're going to go with. But a couple more bans already coming, or picks coming in, sorry. So we do have Lucian and Annie over on KMT side. What's your thoughts on that? Because Lucian has been very popular lately.
Yeah, that is a really, really strong lane they picked out there. Annie is pretty much... It's between Annie and Taric generally as supports go, but the thing is Annie versus Taric is incredibly good because magic damage versus massive armor. So generally you don't want to pick Taric against that. Annie with Lucian, ton of burst damage, especially around that level 6 period. And Annie now transitions to a point where she can 100-0 squishies. She can still pick up a Death by Grasp and destroy your entire team, and that just makes her an incredibly strong support pick.
And to kind of counter that, we do see a Zyra and Ezreal picked up. Now Zyra, I'm going to guess, is going to be going in the hands of migxa as support. But I really like her range, though, against an Annie.
Yeah, she can punish, if Annie tries to go in pretty much for anything, auto attacks, Q, W, R even, she can throw the Grasping Roots down, and if Annie does look like she's definitely going in for the Tibbers, in for the full burst combo, put down the Stranglethorns kind of a little bit preemptively as the cast is coming in, stops her from casting the full combo, and you can just back away and not end up dying. Super Hot crew are hovering over Rengar.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see that actually locked in, but we do have two more picks over for KMT side. We see the Renekton and the Lee Sin, two very strong champions right now. Renekton, the top lane, just becomes impossible to move, and then of course that, if we do see Rengar locked in, that Renekton-Rengar lane going on up there, but the Lee Sin as well picked up for most likely, well, pretty sure of the jungle.
Yeah, actually, Lee Sin, okay, so looks like we're going to be seeing pretty much the same jungle as we've been seeing in Season 3 here, Lee Sin versus Elise, but that top lane, my instincts would tell me that the mechanics of that lane would actually generally favor the Renekton in that situation, because he can build tanky, avoid Rengar's burst, and grind him down slowly. But Mimer is the solo queue god. He is such a
four
strong
accounts in
Rengar.
Challenger, or maybe even 5 now.
Yeah, one on NA as well with like 200 pay. He's just crazy player individually, and he's known for his Rengar.
And that's one thing I'm actually curious about, because we were at Intel Extreme Retro Singapore this last weekend, and we saw a lot of Rengar in the hands of Zonda from TPS, and he built straight tank. He didn't build any burst damage, and all he did was just split push the entire time. And because of that, whenever you would send someone against him, you just stealth away, and it was really hard to deal with. But with 314, split pushing did change a little bit.
Yeah, you get less gold as a reward from your towers globally. The individual person involved gets more, but obviously if you've only got one person benefiting from that, that's not going to be as great. That being said, Rengar as a split pusher, especially late game, a tanky Rengar, you cannot kill him before he stealths, and he can get away. But I think Mimer tends a little bit more towards damage. I mean, most likely he is able to play multiple styles on the champion. He is a surprisingly flexible one. quite often you actually see Sunfire Cape first, and then you might see like a Spirit Visage, and you then actually see kind of the reverse of a normal Bruiser, where you start off building one damage item, then you go tanky. Rengar sometimes actually builds very, very tanky, and then starts going into damage later on to make himself able to assassinate those squishies in the late game.
Okay, well, we'll definitely be able to see how that develops here. But the Morgana was the last pickup for SHC, and I was actually thinking to myself, maybe that's going to be a support to kind of counter Annie, but it looks like it's actually going to be used middle here.
Well, passive laners, Jason here. It's pretty much what we've been expecting to see, kind of because we actually saw him a couple of times in Season 3 being picked up. Morgana is still a huge teamfight presence, does still have huge utility, and if you're playing a very, very defensive kind of pushing style, you don't want to be ganked ever at all because Black Shield, Morgana, why not? She's really, really strong. And
we do have Gragas as the last pickup for KMT. He's been good before in 3.13. He's still just as good in 3.14. What's your thoughts on him against that Morgana lineup?
It's probably not going to be a lane where you see many 1 versus 1 kills. I'll say that much. Gragas does roam very much better than Morgana. He's quicker around the map thanks to the body slam. He sets up ganks with a little bit more damage. But his teamfight presence later on might be a little bit weaker. I'm not going to call Gragas' teamfight presence weak here, but Morgana just has that ability to shut down your entire team, and it's the Fiddlestick syndrome where you can't go near him and you can't run away either because she slowed you and stunned you.
Well, look at these two compositions that we have picked up here. Is there anything special you're seeing in terms of like how they're going to work in team fights, or one comp might be a little bit stronger early on?
Well, it looks at the moment like Super Hot Crew have got pretty much one man for split pushing. They have that Rengar there. And then the rest of their team is designed to be able to 4v5 very effectively. If they're on the defensive, it's so hard to essentially just run down Zyra, to run down Morgana, to run down Elise. You're just walking into all the CC. And as a result, you are liable to end up very, very CC'd and hence not able to get the engage. Rengar takes towers very, very quickly. That can work out for them, although it is somewhat dependent on Mimer doing well in that lane. Again, though, he's pretty good at that.
Okay, well, we are going to be getting under game just shortly here, and we already do have both teams heading up. But of course, this is 3.14, and we have ward trinkets. You know, what's your thought on those so far? Because we can already see on the screen, it's pretty much the same across both teams, minus that one little sneaky one.
Yeah, the problem, I think, that a lot of people are having with the sweeping trinket is essentially it's got a longer cooldown than the warding trinket. Even at the base rank here, you've got like a... You can clear away the ward, and they will just straight up put it back again once the sweeping effect has run out. That actually can be used to bait people, but at the moment, it seems that most people value that warding trinket a lot more. But Annie,
Moopz looking for it. Actually makes Vander flash away from that Dark Binding, so if anything, they do have that flash now gone. They did go for a 5-man group towards bottom and went for that straight push towards the blue, but if anything, they did get the flash away from Vander, and to me, that's kind of like, hey, Impaler, maybe you should gank bottom. Maybe you should gank that Annie now.
Yeah, that is a very, very likely possibility. I would just say, though, that if you are invading in the current patch, there is a slight further advantage, to invading nowadays as compared to the way it was. It's a little bit more difficult because essentially you have First Blood is a lot less valuable now. So obviously that extra 120 odd gold is you lose that. But the bigger difference is the straight up fact that wards are not as available at this early stage. You see the supports generally starting with a gold item, so they don't start with like a stack of wards. And even if they did, they couldn't put them all out in the enemy jungle. So you can't just get that super deep warding done, can't get that vision control early on. And that just devalues the whole concept of early invades. But that then means that people are less prepared if you actually do it. And Super Hot Crew did make that work for themselves.
Well, KMT, they're actually going for a blue invade here. It looks like they will be able to lock this one away, and at the same time, on their own team, going to be able to take blue on this side as well. So they're going to be able to secure 2 blues right off the bat here. And Super Hot Crew, it's not the start they necessarily wanted going into this.
Yeah, I think they were just so confident in their own level 1 fight, they just didn't predict it was even really a possibility they could be invaded in return. They left themselves open to it, and a lot of props there for KMT for seeing that opportunity and taking it. But it does look like they will be having to deal with that, kind of the repercussions from that for a little while yet.
As you can see on your screen, we're actually having a little bit of some lane swaps coming here. For KMT, we have Celaver and Vander going to be in this top lane against Mimer. Of course, on the bottom side will be Haydal and migxa versus Xaxus. And we actually did see both top laners just go for a little bit of farming in the jungle. As you're taking a look at Mimer right now, he actually did farm up quite a bit, sitting at 3 CS. I'm going to be heading into lane just shortly here. But it's kind of a common trend you're seeing these days, where you kind of have to send a top lane that's in a 1v2 into the jungle a little bit just to get some early experience, because otherwise you're going to be denied quite hard.
Yeah, it's you tend to either, if you have a strong early jungle clearing top laner, you just take him away, you send him to do a camp on his own. If you don't, you send him with the jungler. You send him to pick up a little bit of experience. Although, I don't actually know on the current patch if that has been affected by the difference in the camp's experience values in total. But regardless, though, Rengar was able to pick that up. Much of the same going on in the bot lane. And it does look like, well, actually, it's a little point I would like to note, is that...
I actually did see Xaxus go in on migxa right there, do some good damage, and we did see Impaler actually go for a little bit of counter jungling, taking away that white camp, and wanted to go for a gank, but Jankos was there in time to spot this here, and he's going to be committing into this lane, just making sure that Xaxus doesn't get pushed up too early, but with that early blue buff he was able to get, and then return to lane, he's faring quite well.
Yeah, if you get an early blue buff on Renekton, that cooldown reduction, nerfed though it has been, is essentially directly sustain and its wave clear. That's really, really helpful to have, and it just means you get to sustain in lane for longer, although he is being babysitted quite hard, but that's a very dangerous lane. If Haydal gets caught, that could be bad.
Well, we are seeing Haydal get out of that pretty easily with that Arcane Shift, obviously, and that's being forced away, but he's sustaining in lane quite well, and Jankos is committing a lot of time here, and you know, what's your thoughts on, you know, obviously the little bit of jungle changes we did, well, not little, but the jungle changes we did see come in where, you know, junglers can't necessarily get that level 3 before a solo laner is level 1.
Yeah, having to clear an extra jungle camp just orientates it a little bit more towards farm junglers, but in this situation, Jankos is just making sure their tower stays up. They know they have a faster pushing lane in the top lane, but that could well backfire on them. Mimer is hanging around in the area.
Yeah, and Taylor did come up there just to kind of, I guess, push things out a little bit here, but I don't really think, at least in my opinion, Mimer and Impaler have a lot of kill potential here, but it looks like they want to go in. Looks like they do get the flash cocoon onto Vander. He's getting very low. He's getting ignited. Remember, he doesn't have that flash available, but a great stun coming out of him. First blood goes to Mimer. Now Impaler being forced to run away. Celaver actually flashes, picks up that kill, but now it's Mimer versus Celaver in a 1v1 here. Mimer, he's just going to back away, give that one up to Celaver, but in the end, a 1-for-1 trade with Mimer getting that first blood.
Yeah, and by this point, the lower value of First Blood has disappeared. Jankos actually taking quite a bit of damage in that bottom lane there, but lower value of First Blood has disappeared, and Celaver, although it looks like he won that exchange, in the long term here, he's probably going to have to recall because Rengar has so much innate sustain, he will eventually push him out. Yeah,
that's very true, and if anyone knows how to play Rengar, it's definitely going to be Mimer. That was one of his most played champions back in the summer split. Well, he didn't get to play it in the split, and that's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is that he didn't get to play it, but he's playing something he enjoys here, and that's really, to me, reminiscent of seeing Hercubot on NIP now. He's playing champions that he enjoys, and when you do see people do that, they seem to play so much better, and Mimer always had a tough time CSing in the summer split, but right now he's doing a fairly good job.
Yeah, if you have spent, you know, literally hundreds of hours playing one champion, it will show when you get to play that champion, just straight up. You can see Mimer doing all kinds of little things that I actually didn't even know that were possible. For instance, casting his Roar in the middle of the animation for his Q, just to get that little drop on health on the CS. Makes it a little bit easier to last out on the tower. Didn't know you could do that.
And as you're seeing, he's currently leading against his opponent, 26-24 right there. Vander does have that flash available right now after he was first blooded, but you know, we do see some items coming in, and I want you to specifically walk us through the supports items and the things they picked up, because it's obviously way different in 3.14 than in 3.13.
Yeah, indeed. I'm a little bit surprised, although in this case it makes a lot of sense, that we're not seeing any relic shields at all, because even though it has been hotfixed, it is still, I think, generally regarded as the best all-around item here. But if you're picking an aggressive lane, getting the Spell Thief's Edge there is a very, very strong choice. I'm just keeping an eye on that mid lane there, because Impaler is turning up to steal some farm. Regardless, though, it does look like the bottom lane might be the source of engage.
And we do see Jankos coming in from the sides. Xaxus chasing down migxa, going to be very squishy, but he's forced to flash away right now. And all it takes is one Lee Sin Q, but he misses it. No, migxa's going to be able to escape now. Haydal trying to turn the damage around. And in the end, they escape with only blowing a flash, and that could have been so much worse. But in the meantime, you are seeing on your screen Impaler going for a blue still here. And remember, they didn't get one single blue buff in the beginning of this game, and they might be able to take this one away.
Yeah, he has to clear it very, very quickly here, though, because they are getting encircled. Xaxus may look to jump over the wall, but he could get caught himself.
And he does actually just slice and dice away, and overall, a good job by Super Hot Crew to turn that one around, considering they were down very early on with those blue buffs being gone, but keeping away from Overpow, and ideally being able to give this one over to Moopz. How's that going to fare for them?
It just means that Moopz gets that pushing advantage. He can push out, he can push Overpow to his tower and eventually run him out of mana. Xaxus isn't going to run down very quickly, got that Chalice already, but that gives you more opportunities to then roam, make ganks happen. I mentioned Xaxus is maybe a slightly stronger roamer, but that won't matter as much if he doesn't have the blue buff available. Yeah,
that's very true. And right now you do see a little bit of a CS lead for Moopz, but you obviously would expect that coming into a range versus melee kind of ordeal in the middle. But it looks like we will see Impaler come over and give that blue buff over to Moopz right now. And overall, laning phase has been quite I want to say slow a little bit, because I just want to point out that, you know, 313 versus 314, at least your thoughts on it, the laning phase has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, it's generally more defensive because there's more wards around. Junglers are less able to make stuff happen, so they spend a little bit more time farming, which coincidentally is also more valuable to them, gives them that extra bit of gold. But Impaler is coming in on the mid. Oh,
it's actually, well, it's a Xaxus. I mean, obviously, he was changed around 314. If he doesn't hit anything with that body slam, he'll have a ridiculously long cooldown on it, but all it takes is one. That's all it takes to get away.
Yeah, he tried .gif right there. I mean, it's just not easy to do. And if Xaxus decides, well, I think you might be here, I'm going to play very defensively. However, though, Impaler is going to take the opportunity, because he's got that blue buff on his mid lane, and because they pushed it out, to now go for the dragon with their 2-on-1 lane.
This is a very ballsy play. Obviously, you do have Zyra there. You do have little Spiralings to tank it up, but Xaxus is sticking by the side, trying to go in. Dominance is pop. He's going straight in, but it does get taken by Impaler. Now he's getting very low as he does repel away, but he's not going to drop anywhere specifically, as Xaxus now being chased down. The Cocoon is actually going to miss here, and Xaxus is going to flash and actually escape that one. So in the end, first dragon going over to Super Hot Crew.
Yes, indeed, but Impaler might not get out of here. He's actually in a horrible situation.
His flash is almost up at least, and it looks like he's actually going to be able to walk away from this one scotch-free. And Impaler, he's not very tanky compared to Jankos, who is able to build that Madrid's Razor and even has a health crystal behind that.
Yeah, I get the feeling Impaler's sitting on quite a bit of gold right now. Yeah, nearly 1,000 up in his particular pocket there. So when he goes back, you may see him actually build a little bit more damage. I know he likes to build Haunting Guys. I saw him build it on a Moo when I was spying on him in solo queue earlier. Mimer taking a lot of damage in that top lane, being forced away from the tower. But Impaler will be able to get there, I think, to help him out.
Yeah, and it looks like he's actually going to back away from here. Not feeling too confident to be able to lock this one down. But with the wards, just like you said before, Celaver able to put one over the wall with that warding trinket. It's going to spot Impaler coming in. He's not going to be able to get a gank off here. But if anything, it does stop Mimer from getting, I want to say killed, but he still has an ultimate up. And it's going to be very hard to pretty much burst him down.
It's the tower race right now, but they were kind of zoning him out, because even though he wasn't going to get killed, they couldn't like flash ignite kill him. If he went too close, if he went to get any CS at that point, a couple of rotations from Annie and the full damage from Lucian would probably have been enough to take him out. So he was being a little bit scared at the very least, and decided to call in the help from his jungler.
Yeah, he was being a little bit cautious here, but we do see Xaxus actually getting dove bottom. Stringthorn's going to miss, but the Azure ulti does come across and hit him. But Xaxus actually Haydal flashing for. He's going straight for him, and we see the safeguard coming from Jankos, saves his life, and now he's going head-to-head against Haydal. Looking to pick up the kill. He does have that red buff, dodges the grasping roots, and it looks like he should be able to pick this one up. But Haydal, will he have his arcane shift up in time? No, he doesn't. Jankos closes that one out, and an amazing turnaround gank coming in from him.
Yeah, just always in the right place at the right time, but that does mean that there is a commitment in that bottom lane, and that is why Impaler is now hanging around in this top brush. Mimer could stealth to start off the gank, remember. If he leads in with the root, it would be really dangerous.
There it is. You hear him actually going for the stealth up right now. He's getting those 5 stacks up. He's going to be looking for something here. He looks like he's going straight for Celaver, and actually doesn't do anything with it. I don't know, maybe a little miscommunication right there, but Celaver escapes that without taking any damage, basically. And VandeRnoob going in with the Tibbers, getting Mimer very low. It looks like they want to chase this down, but they're not going to be able to catch up to Mimer. He's going to be able to escape. And in the end, I don't know, that was a little bit confusing to see out of Super Hot Crew's side, where now they're most likely going to lose the turret for it.
Yeah, the problem, I think, there was that they were just not, they didn't want, Impaler didn't want to risk Celaver getting the full damage load dumped upon him, and then just jumping out with his flash, which he had, and his E. If he had done that, and then they turned around as we saw there, that would have been an even deeper commitment from Super Hot Crew, and they would have just been taken out very, very summarily. So, nice calling in a way, but it seemed like Mimer wanted to go for it.
Jankos now going for a little bit of an invade here, but actually Moopz will be able to spot him here. Goes for the straight ultimate, then the Dark Binding behind that. Now migxa coming in. What is that? An amazing grasping roots coming in over the wall, catch him as he's jumping to a ward, and they pick up an easy kill.
That was just very, very good prediction, but Xaxus is going in.
Oh, he's going on that bottom lane. He's looking straight for Haydal here. We already had that flash blown a little bit earlier, but he's being forced to back away now. Not really fair in his chances this time, but he's still sticking around getting some CS. And speaking of CS, it looks like he should be able to escape this one. I don't think they're going to be able to kill him under turret. We have to hold on to that for just a second. You do see Moopz and Impaler coming around for that blue buff yet again here, but Overpow, he doesn't want to let this one go.
Yeah, are you sure they couldn't kill him under tower? Although it does look, obviously, with Overpow there, they're not going to be able to. Mimer actually, though, right now is in the top lane pushing out, and that could potentially mean that KMT could get an engage on Super Hot Crew and come out on top over this blue buff, but regardless, they are almost certainly going to lose the top tower in this.
Yeah, if anything, they're just stalling long enough here. They do have a ward to be able to spot it this time. They will have the smite available from Impaler on top of it, but they keep resetting it, and from that, they get the bottom turret, and KMT is just going to trade a blue for a turret, but it looks like they want to go for a fight here as the Stranglethorns comes out. The Air's ulti not going to hit anything, and just like that, Super Hot Crew lose their ability to disengage fairly well.
Yeah, they have to be very careful here, though.
Oh, Jankos going in right now, but he immediately regrets that decision as he does back away. Blue buff has still to be taken during this entirety of this engage, out of this long fight with no kills coming in, and White Camp going to be taken down, but Super Hot Crew, they don't want to let this blue buff go. There
really is no time pressure for them anymore. They can take as long as they want, and KMT know they now have a few more ultimates available. If they can catch someone, they can go for it.
Oh, Overpow with the ultimate coming in. Moopz actually going to flash out of it. Jankos going to the backside, kicks Impaler out, but he's actually not going to be able to commit to this fight, and Super Hot Crew are able to disengage. They do get the blue buff, Impaler smites that away, and all that time committed as Jankos gets caught with the Dark Binding, and a little bit of damage from Haydal right there. He will be able to escape, but in the end, Super Hot Crew come out with a blue buff and come out with a turret on top of it.
Yeah, and Mimer all that time has been building up his farm. He's still very, very close to Xaxus, and it actually looks like Xaxus isn't having any of this farming behind tower nonsense, but I have to wonder who's going to come out on top here.
Well, Mimer does have the ultimate to get away. Actually, could easily just walk away from this if he wants to, and there it is, just going to ult. And that's what makes Rengar so damn strong these days. You can't really lock him down unless you have some sort of vision to stop it, and if anything, he's doing a fantastic job of keeping that CS lead. And speaking of CS, we should probably talk about it across the board. You know, Mimer 83 to 80 to Xaxus right now in that top lane. And jungle 44 to 62 in the mid lane, 121 to 117. But the biggest difference we see is between Haydal and Celaver at 97 to 122.
That is the difference between a full Trinity Force versus a Sheen and a Phage. That is a big, big power spike, but at the moment there aren't really any objectives to force so strongly. This top lane is very much kind of a no-go zone at the moment because it's two tanky bruisers just beating each other into their sustain modes. But the dragon did just pop up, so I wonder if Impaler is going to go straight for it, actually. He could, potentially.
It looks like he might actually do that. If anything, though, he's going to ward it up here, and with having Xaxus backing away from that top side, maybe a little bit kind of cautious about it, not knowing exactly where he's going, but Mimer will be coming down from that top side, and Dragon definitely has been changed quite a bit in 3.14, which I'm sure you can go to in just a second. But, you know, both these lineups, you mentioned before, that it's really hard to engage on Super Hot Crew as there's so much disengage. How is KMT going to even try to bypass that?
Well, at the moment, they're not feeling too pressured to force an engage. They can just bide their time, wait for an engage, and at the moment, much capable of pushing just as fast as Mimer is, and they can obviously straight up team fight as long as they're not trying to force it too hard. But as time goes by, Mimer will push faster than Xaxus, and that could become a problem for them, but the Dragon is the point of contention.
It's going to be kicked off here, and it's actually dropped very low. Jankos going to be going in here. He actually misses a smite battle, and Impaler does get that one, but what will Super Hot Crew do? Will they go for a fight? Impaler, all by himself, does have that flash to escape, though, if he needs to. Gonna pop back to Spider for Celaver now. Fancying his chances as Xaxus is forced to pop that dominance inside the pit. And you see Impaler, he's just going to jump up. Mimer now very low on health. The ultimate coming out of Gragas, but it's not able to kill anyone just yet. And now KMT chasing them down. We did not see Moopz taking down Jankos, but now Xaxus getting very low with the Stranglethorns coming down, hitting no one. And KMT is just going to back away in the end, losing one person and losing Dragon.
Yeah, that was actually really, really nice call by KMT because they took advantage of the fact that at the moment, Mimer has a longer cooldown on his ultimate than Xaxus. You actually see Dominus used, Thrill of the Hunt not used at all. And Super Hot Crew, however, were able to utilize that. They are team fighting incredibly well. It's basically worth noting right there. They straight up out-team fought them because even though they had less ultimates, they pretty much came out on top, getting the Dragon and getting the position on that mid tower. Wave clear is going to stop them there. But very, very nice call by KMT, but they just weren't able to execute it quite as well.
Yeah, and this is what you were talking about earlier when we saw the picks of bans out of that Morgana, being a mid lane Morgana. That ultimate, the zoning potential of it, you can't get near it, you have to stay away from it, and if it lands on you, you're kind of screwed out. But right now, Super Hot Crew committing to this turret right now. Mimer getting caught with a stun. He's actually very low on health. He actually disconnects. And there was a pause I was expecting to come in right after that.
Awkward. A little bit unfortunate in terms of places to get disconnected under the enemy's mid tower with 3 players right there is generally considered the worst possible one. I would say, though, that KMT weren't able to kill him, which was a little bit surprising. He has built fairly tanky, though. Sunfire Cape already built on him does just mean he's a little bit too difficult to kill, especially if he's got that Battle Roar active with that extra bit of armor and MR there. So it's hard to say how this game is going to go overall, but at the moment, I have to favor Super Hot Crew.
Yeah, they're doing fairly well right now. I mean, they do have a 2-0 Moopz, and we know how devastating a Morgana can really be in these team fights if you do start to see them finally happen. But Mimer finally reconnecting here, and there's a little bit of a level difference, at least developing between supports, and everyone else is pretty much dead even right now. But you know, I'm wondering, Dragon has been taken. Do you think that's going to be the next point of contention between these two teams? Is that where they're going to want to fight, or are we going to see Super Hot Crew utilize the split push power that Mimer's been able to build up?
I think that's pretty much their game plan here. You've just got Mimer will continually split push. He will continually just, I mean, B top, B bot, B top, B bot. Wherever Xaxus isn't at the moment, because he isn't stronger in a straight up 1v1, but he does push faster, so he can abuse that, and hence he will just eventually build up a little bit of a pushing advantage, which potentially the rest of the team could then build into a teamfight advantage. But he has to be very careful because Xaxus is a much stronger teamfight presence at the moment.
Yeah, and Mimer, he's not going to be able to get the damage, at least within 30 to 40 minutes, to be able to burst anyone down, or at least the AD carry. But right now, Taylor going to be able to spot Xaxus there, going to be able to back away, and both teams actually kind of just backing out, but there's not a lot of money to spend on both sides. If anything, Moopz, something about 1,400 gold, migxa on about 1,000. And I'm actually curious on your thoughts on this, because we saw in OGN, a lot of people still picking up a Ruby Sightstone, even though you're limited to 3 wards.
Yeah, I actually... My personal impression is that Ruby Sightstone isn't as important. It's still a nice, relatively slot efficient, and it is very efficient way of getting your ward allowance down. But if you use a basic Sightstone, you can still put down all 3 wards. The advantage of the Ruby Sightstone, though, is it means you can get that advancing wall of wards. You can put down your 3, and then take the kind of furthest back one, put it forward a little bit more. As you move forward, you build up that vision, you build up that kind of advancing rolling wall, and you can therefore kind of get more than your 3 wards out of your 3 wards.
Yeah, and also you get a little bit of extra health on top of that, which can definitely help out in these fights when you have really bursty people. But that's also one thing that I wanted to talk about, is that we mentioned Vander, you know, on this end, he could get the damage potentially to one-shot someone with a DFG, but you're seeing him build a typical like 313 support style. It seems like the teams haven't really adapted too much, or at least their playstyles, to what 314's brought to the table, which you can honestly kind of expect being so early on in the patch.
Well, the thing is, you are able to build that way as time goes by, but you do need to establish that baseline, those gold generation items, because Sightstone effectively is still gold generation. It's gold you're not spending on wards. So you've got that coin on him, you've now also got the Ruby Sightstone, and pretty much from now, there's almost no point to building anything but AP, unless his team really desperately needs an aura item.
And Vander getting caught with 1 Dark Binding, losing 2/3 of his health, and I have to let you guys know this now. I apologize for the camera work because I'm actually controlling it here. And it's not as easy as Joe makes it look, I'll tell you that. But either way, turret does go down, and now we're 2-2 tied up. 3-2 in kills 20 minutes in, but there's a slight goal lead in favor of Super Hot Crew.
Yeah, they are building it up, and that is a very worrying sign for KMT. They need to build an advantage now before Mimer gets to be a little bit more difficult to deal with, but Xaxus in top.
He's getting ganked here. Stringathorn's coming out, but he actually flashes past it. He did dodge the grass roots on top of that, so another ultimate committed to that, as another pause does come down. Not actually sure what this is about, but Xaxus doing a phenomenal job of being able to dodge, you know, dodge the CC train that we had coming in for Super Hot Crew, and in the end, able to keep his turret alive, because as you can see on the minimap, KMT is coming in hard.
Yeah, Xaxus, Renekton, really immovable block. That is not the problem for them right now, though, because Super Hot Crew, they know they forced out his dominance. They know they can just continue doing exactly the same thing, and it's kind of on KMT to do something.
Oh, wow, and you're seeing Haydal drop very low. Celaver actually flashing for it. That was straight a one-on-one duel, and you're talking about the burst damage that a Lucian could have and him being a total Trinity force ahead, as obviously things haven't evened up, but he just asserted his dominance in a very harsh way.
Yeah, Ezreal a little bit low to start with on that one, and if Celaver had had full the next rank of his ultimate there, probably would have resulted in a kill, and that would have been really, really scary, but this could be an engage.
Oh, we do see the Gragas ultimate come out as well as Moopz going in for the ulti as he immediately flashes away. They're not in the best of positions as you see Jankos off the side killing those Wraith camp. Well, a little bit of a funky engage from both teams.
Yeah, an awkward moment where both teams are flashing away from the other one. So I think both teams there were predicting there was something kind of off-screen, something they couldn't see, that obviously there wasn't, and they both just kind of awkwardly walk away now.
Well, we have to keep in mind there's a lot on the line here. Remember, this is for the 2014 LCS season for the spring split to play, or their chance to play it up against NIP, SK, or Meteor Makers, and both these teams definitely not taking this lightly. But right now, Celaver going for a bit. I want to say, not split pushing, but going for some farming here, and he's been able to maintain this CS lead that he's built up across these last 21 minutes.
Yeah, he's not just maintaining it, and this is one of the things, the map pressure exerted by Rengar split pushing gives your AD carry that chance to kind of get his farm because he's able to just clear out the waves, but they're fighting over red.
Wow, and Jankos actually smites it, but doesn't hit it. Haydal's able to steal that one away with an auto attack, and just like that, Haydal able to pick up a red buff for himself. Just gonna check, yeah, he did get that one just to make sure. And right now, Super Hot Crew, they're not actually going for a split push right now. That's because Dragons come up in about 8 seconds, and they could potentially take it down very quickly. They're getting the positional advantage by getting all these wards down, and this Dragon will be spawning right now.
Yeah, they've got a very fast Dragon clear, and the fact that they have so much disengage kind of also works into them picking people off if they try and contest that Dragon. However, KMT taking the advantage themselves, they're going to push that mid tower, but will they get engaged on?
Oh, Ezreal ulti hits all four of their Mimer going to be going in. He's going to land the stop, or the stun on the Celaver, but the Gragas ulti coming in, migxa getting caught by the String of Thorns. The positioning is so perfect right now for SHC, as Impaler is going to be going in, but Haydal not in a great position to make any kills happen just yet. And will he chase this one down? He's going to be looking for Xaxus here, but he's so damn tanky. He does have that red buff for the slow. And it looks like we will see one kill traded over in favor of KMT, even though they're the ones that ate the whole brunt of the damage from Super Hot Crew.
Yeah. The fact that they are so strong at disengaging kind of parallels them, though, when they're the ones trying to force and engage. They were put on the back foot there by KMT with the positional advantage, and as a result, they were kind of unfortunate in that situation. Because they took more damage, that's kind of meant KMT have had to back away from their own tower in turn. I'm not sure who's done more damage on the towers there overall, but not a bad situation for Super Hot Crew because they're hitting an inner tower.
Yeah, they just got actually down to about a third health right there. Great job by them to respawn immediately to the little bit of fight that happened. And that back animation's pretty sweet out of that skin out of Morgana. But KMT, they noticed they're backing away. migxa getting caught here. He's getting bursted down quite quickly, down to half HP. And KMT, it looks like they want to go for pushing those turrets already very low. But Moopz, he has his ultimate available. He doesn't have his flash, and that's one thing that worries me as we get to like major team fights breaking out between both teams, is that that's his only form of engage, is to pretty much flash in there and try to hit as many people as possible with the ultimate.
Yeah, and that's, again, why they're so dependent on Rengar split pushing. I mean, I'm saying it quite a lot here, but that is essentially the game plan. And if that game plan doesn't work, if they end up getting engaged upon, if Lucian gets so farmed that they are able to just siege down towers straight up, then Super Hot Crew could fall apart really badly.
And right now, he's been lengthening his lead a little bit here, but he must be sitting on quite a bit of gold. It's on 1,400 right now. Hasn't picked up a new item in quite a while, I have to say. But across the board, is there any items that really stand out for you? Because, you know, look at the top there's Mimer, able to finish that Spirit Visage. Xaxus hasn't been able to complete his just yet.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit interested to see that Jankos here is building an Aegis of the Legion, because I was talking with Copenhagen Wolves Amazing, his jungler, and he literally said to me earlier, Aegis of the Legion on junglers now is trash. So I'm a little bit curious as to exactly why this is. Obviously, they're up against a lot of AoE magic damage, and it may just be that this is a case where they don't actually want their support to be building it, even though they would now have the gold on this patch, just because Annie has very good scaling herself.
Okay, well, very interesting to see. And we did have Moopz actually steal that blue buff away from Overpow yet again. I think Overpow has yet to get one blue buff this entire game. That's really got to be at least quite annoying for him, but he does obviously have the cooldown reduction and mana regen from the Holy Grail. But Impaler being pushed up very aggressive, and there's a lot of wards down on the top side of the jungle. It kind of says for both teams that Super Hot Crew, they want to go for a fight there. They want to push that direction.
Yeah, they continue to get the vision control, and they will continue to kind of work it in exactly the same way they always have done. What they want to do at the moment, though, with that bottom wave pushing out as it is get vision control over the bottom jungle, even though they've just spent a lot of time getting control over the top, because this is potentially a situation where they can bait someone in. They know that Renekton is committed in the top lane, and they also know that if people try and go across, but if he gets caught warding, that's bad.
Oh, migxa getting covered there, gets blown up right away. Celaver picks up that kill, but Impala are actually going to be looking for a fight here as we see the Gragas ultimate come out, spreads him apart. Haydal now trying to run away, but that's all the action I think we're going to see off of that fight, and all it took, at least for both teams, just one stun, and you're going to get blown up, and that was the support who's been able to build at least a Haunting Guys for a little bit of extra damage, but that damage doesn't mean anything if you can't survive.
Yeah, didn't even get Stranglethorns off, and that just shows how much burst there is available on both teams. I mean, you actually saw Celaver going very, very low with just a casual few ability cooldowns used on him, but I want to just note at the moment right now, Xaxus is actually being pushed back one-on-one versus Mimer.
Yeah, and right now, the mid turret's going to be going down here for Super Hot Chris. Haydal actually arcane shifting in, and I want to point something out. The warding trinkets, they have changed completely. We do see the lens picked up for Impaler, so he can clear up the vision, obviously, but look on KMT's side. They went for 4 of them. They immediately switched from, you know, from the extra wards they're going to be able to gain to being able to clear all the vision that SHC has been able to put down in their own jungle.
Yeah, as time goes by, the sweeping trinket becomes much more valuable because you can't get that anywhere else. You can just buy wards, and although at the start of the game the warding trinket is obviously going to be incredibly useful because you can't really afford to start with wards, you can't get sweeping anywhere else, and that means they now have a little bit more jungle control. That being said, are they going to force anything right now? I have to say the Dragon seems like the next point of contention in another minute or so. But all they're really doing here is slowing things down a bit.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to not see more lenses picked up on Super Hot Crew's side because they've been caught out just now, obviously with a ward where migxa was the casualty of that little bit of an engage, and they want to be able to deny the vision so they can keep all this gold for themselves and deny the gold from KMT, and yet they just haven't really been able to right now.
Well, they are a little bit less reliant on making absolutely certain they have gotten control over the area. They're happy so long as they're able to get wards in. They don't really care if KMT can also see what's going on there. They just want to make sure they've got as many wards as they possibly can so that Rengar can then run away as soon as something goes wrong. As it happens, though, Zyra could potentially get caught here by Jankos. He's over the wall, but Impaler may turn it around.
Impaler, yeah, there to back him up. The Cocoon, unfortunately, going to miss out for him. We do have VandeRnoob coming down from that bottom lane from the base, and Whitecamp going to be taken away by Impaler. And it looks like they're just going to back out. But look, Mimer, he's here. He's ready for this Dragon. They have the timer on it, but so do both teams.
But here again, we're seeing Super Hot Crew. It's difficult to engage upon them. However, this time KMT are a little bit closer. They have a little bit more vision. But flip side of that, Super Hot Crew will clear a little bit faster. It looks like there's going to be a much more protracted engage this time.
And we do see Overpow coming down from middle. The Dark Binding does land, but that's not the target they necessarily wanted to hit, but they're getting some good chip damage onto him. And Moopz, just the zoning potential he has by standing close to their team, looking for a second one, but unfortunately not going to hit it, and that's all thanks to that ward you're seeing on your screen right here, able to spot them coming from the side, and they're just baiting them out. KMT, they have the choice to, you know, all right, we'll forget Dragon, we'll just push middle, we'll get a tier 2 turret on you, but they're committing to this fight. They want to make it happen or at least stop this Dragon from going down.
Yes, indeed, and Lee Sin with the Q on it could mean he will dive in, but there is a lot of poke going down. KMT are getting quite damaged here. We'll see if they choose to go for this.
Oh, the anti-stun coming, it hits Haydal, hits migxa, but the Dragon does go over to Super Hot Crew, and we're going to stick with Moopz here, as ultimate does land onto VandeRnoob, going to be able to pick up that kill as a Stranglethorns comes out as well. And right now, people are dropping left and right as the edge ulti comes in from the side. Mimer not down just yet, still able to survive. And he's going to pop his ultimate to escape. He saved it till the end. In the end, that was a 2-for-2 trade. But Super Hot Crew picking up the Dragon.
Yeah, and now we'll see if they can convert it into another tower, because obviously there is only one man defending this, and that well could mean that inner tower goes down. I mean, you can't even... Haydal isn't even trying. He's just too low.
Yeah, and they're dropping that very quickly with the help of that Trinity Force. But looks like Mimer might have been able to hold on to it long enough. They'll have Moopz coming in from the base to start wave clearing here, but KMT, they've been losing fights pretty... I mean, they didn't really lose the fight since it was 2-for-2, but in the end they did because Dragon was taken on SHC's side, but they're definitely having a tough time. They're definitely struggling a little bit here to make the fights very one-sided for themselves.
Yeah, that was a flash Tibbers engage there by Vander, and you can't do those very often. But what they did do there was take advantage of the fact that Super Hot Crew have been very aggressive about taking Dragon. Mimer was committed in the pit. He was taking the Dragon himself, and that meant he was a little bit out of position. He hadn't already used his Thrill of the Hunt to get in, which is why he saved it till the end. So, good play based on what they know, but they can't rely on that kind of thing. They have to make these engages happen, and Super Hot Crew will probably now try and take advantage of the fact that flash engage isn't available.
And they're looking at Baron. They're thinking it's a juicy target here. And they're also setting up trying to bait anyone from coming in. They do have that pink ward down, so they will be able to spot any of the wards in the back of that pit. And right now, we're almost at that point in the game where everyone, or the average level is about level 15. And that's where Dragon really starts to become powerful, where it's worth 1,300 gold compared to Baron, that's worth 1,500. So that's definitely getting to the point where Dragon's going to be worth more and more to both teams. But Jankos actually backing away here. And Super Hot Crew still just clearing out this vision, still just trying to keep control of this pit.
Yeah, it's a little bit curious that they're not split pushing them. Yeah, that's actually a bug in the current patch. Baron sometimes randomly aggroes. So that's quite bad, actually. That's really annoying.
It's the way it should be. See someone coming into his pit to kill a ward, they should be able to get angry and kill someone, but thanks they're going to be able to clip the ward yet again. Jankos returning. And they have the vision on. They have the potential to go for it, but they're engaged. It has to be like a cocoon or a grasping roots, and migxa sticking around, but the rest of the team going to be backing out here, and KMT going to go back to farming away.
Yeah, no one wants to risk starting the Baron, especially with both of these team compositions relying heavily on magic damage. That magic damage increasing debuff from Baron means if you then get Tibbers and Grag assaulted, you just straight up, I mean, you might just get pentakilled. I mean, there is that video on YouTube from way back when of those two ultimates getting chained. I think it was a Civ HD, and they're just 5-man dead instantly, gone.
And that is definitely something you can't afford to happen at this game, or at this point in the game. 32.5 minutes in here. KMT has cleared out all the vision, though, from that Baron. And right now, take a look at the CS we have, or the CS differences that we have. You know, we pointed out Overpow was losing earlier on in the game, being down about 10, 15, but now he has like a 70 CS lead over in middle. And across the board, you know, top lane's pretty even, junglers are dead even. 80 carries has evened up quite well.
Yeah, indeed. Ezreal finding the farm. I don't even know where. It might be because Mimer has been doing a bit less split pushing. He's been sticking with the team now a bit more. That has meant that Lucian has not then been able to just rotate down, finish off the wave that Mimer has pushed out, and then go back to join up with the team. So that has kind of meant that Haydal has just caught up by default as a result. But he's actually closed the gap, so it can't just be that.
Well, speaking of Lucian, Celaver now 3-0-1. Has that Trinity Force, has that Bloodthirster on top of that, and with that pickaxe, I'm looking for his next item very shortly here, but we're at that point in the game now, you know, 33 minutes in, that this next big fight is going to be it. Like, that's going to determine how the game's really going to go, where if you get a clean, you know, ace, you could snowball, you could take an inhibitor, you can take a Baron off of that. And both these teams, they kind of realize that, and they don't want to get a loss in their first match.
Yeah, I mean, this is a round-robin format, so it's not complete doom if you do lose. But yeah, as you say, this is a really, really scary time for both of them. And Vander does have his flash up again in maybe, what? Oh, 1 second.
So now.
Yeah, there we go, it's done.
And that's what you were saying a little bit earlier on, is that flash engage. I mean, that might be a sign for Super Hot Crew to go for a fight since they have that being down, but that's currently now available in Mimer. Out of all of this, just pushing bottom, that turret almost about half health, but either way, he's going to clear the entire wave, force someone to come and take that CS, which Overpow can do with one barrel. And then he's just going to back up, probably join the rest of his team here.
I'm actually a little bit surprised to see nobody on KMT has bought the upgraded sweeping trinket, because if you do that, it actually gives you stealth detection on the active, and that would mean potentially someone could chase down Mimer if you tried to ult out. That being said, they haven't gone for it, so maybe they're just so determined to make sure he never gets there in the first place and keep the vision control, they don't feel they need to spend the gold. Or maybe they're just absolutely determined they need all their items right this minute. But it does seem a little bit interesting on that.
And you do see Mimer, he's pretty much a full item ahead to his counterpart Xaxus. He has that Randuin's Omen already done. We do see Haydal sitting on about 1,700 gold, as well as Celaver sitting on about 1,500. But the game, it's come kind of to a standstill where this is one thing I'm curious about. You know, with 3.14, with so many changes coming in, do teams still know how to finish if a game is this close?
It is an interesting, because objectives snowball less hard, but later game they can be obviously Dragon is now a very, very significant factor, and that is so easy to take late game that it will become a flashpoint because no one can afford to stand around doing a Dragon dance like we often see on Baron. If they did that, that could potentially go well against them. I just want to note Super Hot Crew are hanging around the Baron area, and this is another thing to note, by the way. They have a very fast Baron clear.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for... Well, KMT to pretty much stop it, though. They do have Xaxus, they do have Mimer, not going to be there for the fights if they do end up making them happen. Dragon is now available, but Baron, it's already being started off. Jankos is going to be coming in. He's actually going to get a ward over the wall, and it's going to deter them away. They're going to stop Baron here, and they're trying to still get KMT in a bad spot. But in the meantime, Mimer, realizing his team's backing away, is still pushing this lane. He's still trying to get this turret down. He hasn't really done too much more damage to it. And now you can see them go fighting each other, but in the end, no one's going to die off of this. Oh, Baron actually was taken. Sorry about that. My camera work is terrible as Impaler does get very low. And looks like they're trying to back away. Moopz using that black shield on himself, able to actually not escape here. Celaver was able to pick up the kill. Haydal going to arcane shift over that wall. And that Baron, just like you said, very quick team to take it. They took it instantly right there without me even expecting it. And now Impaler, he's going to go down.
Yeah, it's actually it's a new bug in the patch. The Baron sometimes just dies. You one-shot it. I'm telling you this,
Can't
not
tell
for
if
your
you're
feelings.
trolling me or not. I feel like you are.
I've got to admit, I wasn't actually looking myself either.
It just happened that quick, and you were saying they're a very fast team to take it, and they took it in about 10 seconds. You know, we're looking at Mimer trying to split push onto Xaxus here, but they get the Baron, they lose 2 people, and they might lose a turret now from that too.
I've got to say the Baron is probably worth it for them, though, especially now with Ezreal pushing in this mid lane and Mimer going to join him there. It will give them that advantage. I mean, we've seen all of this pussyfooting around for a very, very long time, and they will now potentially just be able to barrel down certain lanes. For instance, Mimer now significantly ahead of Xaxus. He doesn't even care about his damage. He's tanking the tower.
And they're going to be able to get that one, too. They're looking for a kill on Xaxus as they do get... Well, the slow on Xaxus, but not enough in the end. Jankos actually going to be going for an engage here. Looks like they fancy their chances, but Haydal, I don't know, he's too strong in my opinion. He has that last whisper. He's going for the damage here. There's no one really there to back him up. Just see as Overpow coming in from mid lane, looking for a Gragas Baron, maybe trying to hit someone as Mimer's still very tanky. Haydal does escape the knockback, but still takes tons of damage as he's forced to flash right now. Xaxus, Overpow able to slow him down, able to stun him. Haydal not going to be able to survive this. He goes down. And now we see in the back, Mimer trying to go for Celaver here. He gets him low, but he gets healed, and he's able to escape this one. And just like that, Haydal just getting popped.
Yeah, but I want to actually note there that the reason that didn't go better for KMT, they could have potentially got more kills there. Celaver was coming in from mid lane area, looking for the cleanup, got caught by Zyra, took absolutely tons of damage, and very nearly got caught by Moopz as well, and that would have ended up killing him. So he was very much delayed, had to run away, and obviously, therefore, wasn't around for cleanup.
But you did, I mean, we do have to point out, though, how much KMT committed for that. They used so many flashes, they used everything they possibly could to make sure to lock down Haydal, who's probably the slipperiest member, well, I'd say second slipperiest member, right behind Mimer of their team. But in the end, they're heading kills. They're up 9-5, 38 minutes in, but they're still down 5,000 gold.
Yeah, and obviously Baron is still on several important players. I mean, well, okay, no, supports are important too. Okay, but
they're people. Don't worry.
Yeah,
they count.
Supports are people too. Quotes for the ages. Mimer there though. The fact that Mimer still has his Baron buff, that is probably the most important one because of this split pushing style, because of the fact he is willing now to tank towers using that Baron regen while Renekton is wailing on him. So if he's able to push up to a tower while that Baron buff is still going, he has almost nothing to fear and he will grind towers down. And
he's working towards that Triforce that you mentioned a little bit earlier, saying that he could build some damage after getting a little bit tanky here, but the Bone Tooth necklace coming in for him, I don't believe it actually has any stacks right now, and I don't know if I'm fully convinced about Adam. You might be able to prove me wrong, though.
It's an interesting choice. It is strangely cheap, though, for this stage of the game, because as the game goes on, your item slot efficiency gets much more important. And yes, all of the stats on the Bone Tooth necklace are really important. And yes, Mimer is now looking very, very strong. Could potentially get some stacks on it, but even if he got it full stacked, although it gives him things you can't possibly get anywhere else, I have to question the value of that compared potentially with, say, another damage item. But obviously, it is Mimer. He probably knows better than me.
He has 5 more challenger counts than I have, I'll tell you that. But he's actually going straight to the turret, just like I mentioned before. Gonna get a quick Q onto it, but not take it down just yet. Not even that much damage in the end, but he's still pulling multiple members of KMT away. You see 3, 4 in that vicinity right now, trying to stop him, make sure he can't escape. In the meantime, Haydal, and Impala, they're just going to be pushing bottom here.
Yeah, that's basically what Mimer did there is just, I am now giving my team a 1-free rotation. It didn't cost them anything now to commit Haydal and Impale it down to that bottom lane and actually Celaver. Oh boy.
He's on a ward too. They're going to land the grass roots. The Dark Body not going to land, but he's actually going to cleanse out of it with that QSS, and he's going to escape. That could have been game-changing right there for Super Hot Crew, but in the end, they do force him back. They're going to look for this turret here. It's already very low in life. They should be able to pick this one up.
Yeah, that still gives them advantages, just not as many as they could potentially get. Vander was...
Wow, migxa almost got one shot right there by that Gragas barrel. Overpow, 400 CS almost at this point. 0-0-4. His items are ridiculous right now. And they're looking to hold on to this. I mean, with the wave clear they have, it looks like Super Hot Crew won't be able to get the turret down.
Yeah, and actually, it looks like KMT are the ones looking for the engage here.
I'm not sure if they can pull this off though. Impaler, he could get slowed by Celaver. He actually doesn't get the auto attack onto him, and it looks like they should be able to walk away from this one without much happening as the Colin doing a decent amount of damage to Impaler right there, but not enough to pick him up, and forces the rest of KMT to back away. And you can see on this top lane, that turret has not changed in health yet.
Yeah, the culling there, if he had been able to land all the shots by some Matrix magic there, he could have potentially gotten the kill there. But even if he doesn't hit, he knows it's got a massively short cooldown. I mean, look at it, 50 seconds at this point in the game. That is a really, really short cooldown for such a powerful ability at this stage. And now actually it does look like Mimer may potentially get engaged upon again here, but no, maybe not.
But no, they're not going to be able to catch him either way, and he's going to be able to just bait them out, but you have to keep in mind there were changes to how split pushing works a little bit here, but not really going to go into effect too much in this game. Remember, will be worth a little bit more gold than he would on average, and he does have those 2 kills and an assist under his belt. But Baron will be up in about a minute here. I want to say that's going to be the point of the game where one team is going to get aced, and we're going to see a push onto an inhibitor.
We said that last time.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
We live in hope, Jason, and yet it's better not to be bitterly disappointed. But the thing about the last Baron, though, was yes, it was essentially a free Baron that we never even saw it happen so fast. But they lost 2 members in the process, which kind of ended up cancelling out. There was no momentum to then start taking towers, and that obviously then just meant that they were again in this situation. I have to say, though, Super Hot Crew did take maybe a tiny bit more map control from the Baron last time, but KMT are going to be much more alert to it now.
And we can take a look at Vision real quick just to show you exactly how it looks across the board, and you can see there's not much of it for SHC right now, and over on KMT side, they're able to see Baron. Like, they still have all the vision control of Baron, they have vision control of the top side of the jungle, but they have pretty much absolutely nothing towards the bottom side, which might mean Celaver could be in trouble because Mimer, he's in the vicinity to make something happen, and he's going to ult up here. He's looking for a kill.
He's got more damage than that at this point as well. Is he going to... No.
Oh, Haydal looks like he's going to bait them in here, but look how low he gets. The ultimate coming out of Gragas is enough to pick him up. Mimer uses his jump, gets Celaver down a little bit of health, but now they have a 5-on-4 man advantage. Haydal cannot afford to get caught out like that, and yet he was just kind of baited in by his teammate, I want to say.
Yeah, you have to question why he moved forward there. Mimer had clearly already said, I'm not going for that kill. I can see Gragas right there. But then he just moved a little bit forward and ended up getting bursted down. But this could be Jankos going down as well.
Oh, the stun going to come out onto Impaler as well as Celaver coming in for the side. Impaler will he be able to escape this one? And we saw Jankos trying to go for the kick, but Impaler flashes out of it. He's able to stay alive for a little bit longer. But now the rest of KMT, are they going to go for Baron? Are they going to stop a mid push? Because remember, that inhibitor is open to be taken right now. And they're going to go with 3 men down middle.
Yeah, they actually are looking to kind of split this up, but also to get the vision control. VandeRnoob may get the stun.
Oh, he gets the stun on Impaler, but doesn't really have enough backup to make a kill happen. But Celaver can be pushing and gets caught. Actually, with the Dark Binding, but he cleanses it and then gets away here. Xaxus is going to get caught, though, with the second charge of it. And now Impaler getting pretty low here, gets stunned yet again, as we do see Celaver go down to migxa over on the bottom side, and Moopz gets cleaned up as well. But Impaler still chasing down Jankos, looking for the kill here, gets kicked away. And the rest of KMT trying to run right now, but Mimer coming in, he's so tanky as migxa runs into the barrel, gets taken down. And Impaler and Mimer, 2-man team, looking for the kill. They get one on Overpow. They're looking for Xaxus. They get the cocoon. They're looking for a kill here, but VandeRnoob does get a nice stun. And even Haydal able to 1v1 Jankos right there. And now, after being down 1 man, with Haydal being the victim of that, they come out ahead in that fight, getting 3 kills for 2 deaths.
And now it looks like they are going to be able to get this Baron. They may actually wait to donate this to all their members, and then they can go for that middle inhibitor push, which will then start to give them map pressure advantage, which they've been looking for a very long time. That team fight, though, KMT caught quite badly out of position. Celaver was essentially left to 1v1 Mimer there, which, I mean, look at him. You cannot, as an AD carry, 1v1 a Rengar with 284 armor.
It seemed like a little bit of an awkward fight out of both teams. Like, they kept going in, they kept backing away, they weren't really committed to it, and I don't know, it seemed a little funky, at least to me.
Yeah, that's actually the situation that Super Hot Crew love above all else, though. I mean, they have Impaler, who really, really likes to have multiple rotations of his high base damage skills. He doesn't have that one big ultimate, but over time, in terms of by the scale of burst mages, essentially, although he's not built as one, he will end up doing a lot of damage overall, and obviously Mimer just sustained damage at the moment.
Yeah, and just like I said, it's pretty much impossible for Celaver to be able to 1v1 him without help from someone else on his team. Right now, the items, we're pretty much approaching full builds for both teams. You know, it's 73,000 gold for Super Hot Crew, even though they're down 8 to 12 in kills. But they've had every single dragon this game. They've had every single Baron now this game. Their gold lead is just getting ridiculous. And yet, they're still not even 10,000 up yet.
But this is the thing. Objectives now, dragons, barons, less gold overall to be gained from them. And the other thing is that because it's been such a slow-paced game, those individual spikes have never been enough to really completely put one team ahead of the other. However, they do have a potential now to go for it. They have got Baron on 3 members. They did not bother to wait in the end there. I guess they were just afraid, you know, Annie steals or something. But they now potentially have the ability to go for that inhibitor. With that potential, they can actually just use Mimer to split push. And now they also have probably the largest proportional gold lead they've had all game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. And I'm actually looking at the supports real quick. And, you know, look at migxa. He does have a Void Staff, has a Leandries, has a Morellonomicon. He's built AP. He's sitting on currently 231 compared to Vander, who hasn't really been able to build anything just yet. He's going basically full support, and this turret is dropping very fast.
Yeah, the reason that Annie has had to do this is essentially because they are so desperate to make the engage happen. I questioned right at the start of the game why he had gone for the coin start. But now that I think about it, you want that Shirelia's effect, the Talisman of Ascension, active. Otherwise, you just can't engage on the enemy team.
Oh, we're seeing Mimer do Mimer-y things, as he does get spotted with Jankos for the vision. But you can't really burst him down, ever, at this point in the game. Like you said, 2 tanky right now, 3-0 and 2, 316 CS, but the rest of Super Hot Crew looks like they want to barrel down onto this inhibitor turret while they have a 2-man squad going for this inhibitor. And Vander, he's looking for a stun, but I feel like they need all 5 members if they're going to want to have hopes of killing Mimer, because he doesn't have that ultimate available yet. Yeah,
for reference at this point, 47-second cooldown on Mimer. He can get out very, very quickly when he's got it. But if they overcommit now, that could be bad. But Celaver got caught.
Oh, he's forced to pop that QSS too, and that's something that's been keeping him alive in these team fights. Now, all it takes is one Dark Binding, and Haydal actually going to be taken quite low here as Jankos going for the fight. He's looking for Mimer, who gets pretty much enough damage onto him as he's down to half health, but Moopz a great ultimate coming out of him, but he gets kicked away from it. He did have the black shield as Xaxus goes down in the hands of Mimer, and Moopz still pushed up very far, looking for a Dark Binding as Haydal gets Celaver so low with that Arcane Shift Q combo, and in the end, they get the inhibitor. They're looking for a turret here, and Overpow, he has his ultimate available. He has potential to kill Haydal here if he does land it, but he doesn't. Haydal gets the black shield, and now they're chasing him down as he's forced to pop the zone. As now Mimer standing in his way. He's forced to back out now, and the turret did go down. They're looking for a second inhibitor here, but they might be asking for too much.
They're not.
Oh, and they're just going for it. They get it. Haydal even Arcane shifting in, looking for a kill on a Celaver right there, but wasn't able to burst him down just yet. And just like that, with that Baron, with that little bit of fight we just had happen, they pick up 2 inhibitors, they gain so much more map control, and now they have the potential to close out the game finally.
Yeah, and they have absolutely no reason to be too aggressive and go for a 3rd inhib here, although it actually looks like they... Okay, then
John does get caught. And I'm not sure how long he's going to live after this one, as he does get hit with a Dark Binding right there. Haydal looking for a kill, but doesn't have a lot of mana left. And wisely, he actually does back out instead of looking for potential death for himself here. Overpow going to clear up this pink ward. In the meantime, Mimer and Impaler. Free turret, let's take it.
They are just so aggressive here, though. They obviously recognized that that commitment of bot happened, but the fact that they hadn't recalled earlier on, when it essentially looked like they had been beaten back and they would have to go and recall, that just kind of shows their mindset here. They were busy taking control of the enemy jungle. They were busy getting map control and, in fact, potentially looking for another pick themselves. So now KMT are really, really up against it. They need to make an engage happen. They didn't catch Impaler.
Yeah, they're looking for it, but he backed away out of that one. I don't think they had vision of him either, if I'm not mistaken. But that could have been actually a huge for KMT. able to pull that one off. But in the end, 2 inhibitors being down, KMT on the back foot, just like you mentioned, and Super Hot Crew, they want to barrel towards this top side.
The one saving grace at this stage of the game for KMT is Celaver right now. He is very, very strong. Lucian will outscale Ezreal on almost all aspects. He is not quite as slippery, but he does a lot more burst, he does a lot more damage. Even his poke is actually comparable, especially if he's willing to use the culling for it, in which case his poke is better for the short time that the culling is active. But that gives them the potential, if the fight drags on for too long, for the cleanup from Celaver to actually work in their favor. But thus far, they haven't been able to keep him safe. And these fights, they just keep going Super Hot Crew's ways. They keep catching people out.
Speaking of that, Jankos might be caught right there, but he does end up being able to walk away. And as you mentioned about Celaver, I mean, we saw the damage he does to Impaler as they're at the middle inhibitor. He got dropped down about half health just from a couple of attacks out of him with that combo, that last whisper he has. But either way, Mimer going to be split pushing middle, forcing the rest of KMT to back away, and Super Hot Crew going to be able to pick up another turret for themselves. But 30 seconds left on Dragon, 1 minute left on Baron until that one's up. And Super Hot Crew, this is the point of the game where they can just stall as long as possible.
Yeah, so KMT are desperately trying to hold on to this tower now, but they're having to deal with the Trinity Force pokes and actually potential for catches.
Oh, Vander getting caught, getting dropped very low right there, but isn't enough to take him down, but it forces him to back out now, unless he wants to stay with that flash, with that Timbers, but that turret is dropping very fast. Mimer, on the other hand, pushing these super mini waves into the turret. One Nexus turret's actually going to drop here in just a second, while the rest of the team is still pushing the top inhibitor turret. Vander coming in with the home guard boots, actually flashes, but doesn't hit the stun onto Haydal, as he has that Black Shield and the QSS. He's able to escape. Moopz, great ultimate coming out of him, zones everyone in KMT away as Xaxus. He's going to be the man to drop. Mimer coming in from the backside, looking for a kill, does get it onto Vander, and migxa now getting dropped very low. He's finally going to fall here, but you see Jankos, you see Celaver trying to hold on for their dear life as Overpow popping the zoners under the turret, but Mimer, he's taking up. He's not going to worry about that too much. And Haydal cleans up the kill to Jankos. In the end, they get 4 kills. Celaver, last man standing against the 3-man squad that Super Hot Crew has to offer them here. But with 1 Nexus turret up, they're looking to close this game out.
Yeah, I cannot possibly see Celaver holding this off, but he's going to try.
No, he's getting very low. He does get the kill on the Mimer, but in the end, Haydal clears that one up. And just like that, within the last 5 minutes alone, Super Hot Crew is going to close this game out, going to get their first victory in this round-robin group stages for the 2014 LCS season Spring Split qualifiers.